Buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the annual event of the Spanish Committee of the World Energy Council. This is going to be an interesting day. We're already very used to online meetings. In the Spanish Energy Club, we have already done these kind of events before, and we have already done these kind of presentations before. We had a safety video. You haven't seen it because hopefully you won't need any safety measures in your homes because you already know where the doors and the windows are. But this is our first annual meeting where we are going to have different speakers and presentations where we'll see the highlights, and then we'll have the roundtable with the impact of the energy sector, and finally we'll see how we are facing these climate and energy challenges as citizens. There is interpretation, as you already know, in the landscape. We have a hashtag 20, and you can ask questions through the Slido app. As you probably already seen, you have in Slido all the information on the resumes of the different speakers. So without further ado, we're going to leave the floor to Philippe Boisseau, the Director and CEO of Cepsa. So, Philippe, we're leaving you the floor now. Thank you very much. So, President of the Spanish Energy Club, President and Chairman of the Elcano Royal Institute, Mrs. Secretary General of the World Energy Council, dear friends and colleagues. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this edition of our annual event of the Spanish Committee of the World Energy Council. This is the fourth time that we're doing this event in Cepsa. Nobody could have imagined just a mere year ago that this meeting was going to be talking again about climate change. We did talk about climate change on our last meeting. But taking into consideration the very serious context of the pandemic that we're living in, we had to talk about this. Nobody could also imagine that this annual event would have to be fully online this time. Just a few speakers, a few members of the organization are physically present in the building. There are way too many families that during the last few months have lost dear members of the families who are sick or having any kind of financial difficulties. So for that reason, the first things I want to say is I want to send strength and the best desires for all of these people. I hope that they will be better in a short period of time and that the situation will improve. It is an honor to be part, yes, in my case, virtually, but at least to be part of this inaugural session. And I'm here with Emilio Lamo de Espinosa, Chairman of Elcano Royal Institute, with María Victoria Zingoni, President of the Spanish Energy Club. María, I would like to congratulate you because you just become President of the Energy Club right now. You have our full support from Cepsa in this new stage or phase that the club is going through. It's also a great honor to have with us the Secretary General of the World Energy Council as our special guest on this inaugural session. Last year, we also had the privilege, the President of the World Energy Council was part of the event, and today we have virtually with us Angela Wilkinson, the Secretary General, as I mentioned before. This is an institution that is 100 years old. And
to recognize the important role of the World Energy Council, which helps us understand better the international energy context and guide us in the energy transition. In the current situation, this role is even more relevant than ever So we are looking forward to hearing from you. Me gustaría aprovechar.
I would also like to continue my speech by just giving some ideas that I think are relevant to the context of the event today. These are 5 ideas that I would like to share with all of you. First of all, is the key role of the energy sector throughout the pandemic. We have guaranteed energy supply all the time, and we have also helped with all the derivative different products that have to do with the energy. We have helped hospitals and everyone in the sanitary industry. We have helped our neighbors, the people that surround us, and Cepsa, as a company, feels extremely proud for the role that we have played. My second idea for today that is also very important is the financial impact of this crisis on all of our companies. According to the recent estimates of the general demand for the 2020, will see a decrease in 25%, which will be the most relevant drop in the last 50 years. In the oil companies, we've seen that there's at least a 7% in drop, and in gas, we've also seen an important drop in the demand throughout the year. This clearly has affected investment and income. But I trust that we are resilient, and that resiliency will see us through this. Once we overcome this crisis, and we need to understand that this will continue throughout 2021, we'll have an opportunity to recover and probably to accelerate the energy transition in Cepsa. We are working for that purpose. My third idea will highlight again the key of what we're doing as an European strategy, because this could be a solution to get out of the crisis. This Green Deal of the European Union, through the other processes of digitalization and how we can update the industry, will increase the investment in a long-term perspective, and it will offer sustainability. The European Commission and the Spanish government have our full support for its implementation, because we are convinced that we have a key role to play, not just in the financial context, but also in the technology and industrial and manufacturing areas. We can be leaders in the recovery process. But in order to do so, and this would be my fourth idea or message, would be that we need full cooperation at every single level. Cooperation with citizens, with public and private services and industries, within the different administrations, political parties, but also different countries should work together. We need that financial resources flow freely so that we can continue working on investments. New tools, next generation, will be key in this process. And finally, my fifth and last idea will be the need to work with everyone if we want this recovery to be inclusive and just for everyone. This is really fundamental for the energy sector and a company like the one that I am representing here, because we need to understand better than ever what our customers want. Sorry, what I wanted to say is that what our customers need. So how can we manage teams? How can we improve our communication techniques in order to accompany and help society throughout the different challenges that we're going to face? We need social technology, and we need to be aware because the fight against climate change and the fight against COVID depend on what each one of us will be doing in the next few months. So, throughout the event today, we'll have the opportunity to debate, to discuss about these topics and others, trying to mix different points of view, as we usually do in these kind of events. For these reasons, we are extremely lucky. We have some of the best speakers from the European Commission, from the World Energy Council, from the European Investment Bank, as well as the Women Business Coalition. But we also have with us today two experts on psychology and social psychology that will add another important input for us. I don't want to take any more of your time, so I'm just going to finish with a conclusion. First of all, thank you to the Spanish Energy Club. Thank you to the Spanish Committee of the World Energy Council for organizing this. I would also like to thank the Elcano Royal Institute for their help and support, to all the speakers, and to everyone that is here with us today, no matter where you are. Thank you for being here. I would also like to leave the room to Emilio Lamo de Espinosa. Thank you.
Thank you. Many thanks, Philippe. Good morning or good afternoon, even good evening, depending on where you are, because we are not in the same physical space and not in the same timeline. I'd like to say hello to Philippe Boisseau, María Victoria Zingoni, the president of Energía, and Angela Wilkinson, the secretary general of the World Energy Council. As you know, in a city of China, less than half of a year ago, it happened, zoonosis pandemic. You have to remember the Spanish flu, that is 100 years old, and many other pandemics that we will suffer in the future. Since then, the society has changed, international relations have changed, and also the energy industry is not as it used to be, and we are in front of uncertainty times that is translated into a time of uncertain moments without knowing when we are going to have the necessary visibility and certain ideas. So we are living in an uncertainty moment in terms of our geopolicy. We know that it is very early to know what the consequences of the pandemic could be. Henry Kissinger says that nothing will be the same, but there are other people, and the Institute especially, that agree that it's not going to be very different from the past. But the truth is that we are going to accelerate things and changes. We are all products of our past. But let's be careful, because we have inflection times where quantity can be quality, and where a pandemic could be easily one of the inflection points that we need. I said some time ago, 5 years ago, that we were entering into a post-European world and a post-Western world. The rise of China and the rise of all Asia is very important. China has overcome the pandemic and has an opportunity window in front of the United States and the European Union in a recession moment. Surveys taken place in many countries show that the public opinion thinks that China is the world, the most important international economy. It's not true, but it looks like it seems to be. Barry Plossin from the MIT says that the pandemic is very important and has caused a lot of damage in all the principal or the main countries or powers. So the differences between countries are going to be so huge, and we will have to make an important effort to overcome problems. The United States doesn't want to take global responsibilities, and China has internal problems. The European Union, therefore, doesn't want to and can't take more responsibilities. We have a lot of global problems such as pandemics, global change, global climate change, and we don't have a lot of multilateral solutions. We are in front of a non-governance world, no leaders, with all types of adventures to come, such as the terrorist activity in the Sahel or the Caucasus conflict that is already a reality. China is present in the Asian countries, Russia is present in the Mediterranean countries, and Turkey is playing to be an important power taking this opportunity. So we are going to have strong leaders but weak institutions in the future. If we take into account companies and the economy as a whole, we can say that the pandemic has caused important damages. The GDP of most of the countries have decreased, and it could be devastating in comparison with the Great Depression. It's the first financial crisis that is global. 3 out of the 119 countries monitored by the International Monetary Fund will have an increase, such as China. So the future needs to take into account a post-COVID resilience, as this meeting is going to reflect. We don't believe in a kind of asymmetric recovery. We believe that this is going to have an uncertain length in time. This also happens with the future of energy and climate. In the translation of the program of the roundtable, we quote the director of the Energy Agency, Fatih, who believes that this COVID crisis is going to mean an acceleration. It's like a future postcard, an image about what is going to be the industry in some years. This image includes a geopolitical landscape that is very uncertain too, and that is going to cause a lot of uncertainties of the to the main leaders of the countries, such as Algeria or Venezuela, for example. Current prices are going to have modifications in the main states of the world. We have to add the uncertainty of the United States presidency elections and the future of the energy industry of the United States and the European Union, which will be different depending on the winner of the American elections. The European Union is in favor of a Green Deal and a green recovery to overcome the crisis. Investment of those vectors is also going to be very important and will affect the investment plan of the European Union in terms of what is going to happen in other countries. This process includes the Instituto Elcano and other think tanks like the IFI in France and many institutions in Poland and Germany. The truth is that in the last months, social behaviors have been very important, and I was a professor at the university. The truth is that according to the last Instituto Elcano survey, in the first weeks of the pandemic, the fight against climate change, again, is one of the priorities in terms of foreign policy for Spanish people. 60% of Spanish people think that we are facing a climate emergency. With regards to the items in the budget for 2020-2026, Spanish people think that the main priorities will have to be the investment in technology and investment in renewable energies. We have to include the problem of safety and security in terms of health, of course. So it is very important to take into account psychology and sociology to face the climate and energy challenges. There are many topics that we need to discuss in the coming months, but I would like to conclude by thanking the effort of everyone who have made this meeting possible. Our host, Philippe Boisseau, and his team in Cepsa, including Íñigo Díaz de Espada, the president of CEPME. I want to thank María Victoria Zingoni. I want to congratulate her for being named as the president of the club, and also her team. You know that Elcano Institute is going to be with you to cooperate with all your team in this activity as usual. This year we also have to thank you especially because you are going through difficult times. It's the most difficult meeting in which we have participated in, so our collaboration shows the seriousness and the important moment we are going through. It's the most difficult time that we have analyzed in this institute, and I think that we are going to be 20 years of age in the next year. We need to multiply our age by 7, as it happens with dogs. But before concluding my presentation, I have to express my wish to be with you next year, to have a toast, if possible, without masks. Thank you very much, and we will see you next year. Thank you very much.
Por favor, presidente.
We're going to leave the floor now to María Victoria Zingoni, president of the Spanish Energy Club. Good morning, everyone. First of all, to the Director and CEO of Cepsa, Philippe Boisseau, to Chairman of Elcano Royal Institute, Emilio Lamo de Espinosa, and the Secretary General of the World Energy Council, Angela Wilkinson. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good day to everyone. It's an honor to be here with you in the annual event of the Spanish Committee of the World Energy Council. First of all, I would like to thank Cepsa and Philippe Boisseau for supporting us and allowing us for the 4th year in a row to have this event in their building. And thank you, Philippe, for all the kind words that you have given us. We know we count on your support. Thank to Emilio, Chairman of Elcano Royal Institute. Thank you for the support that you always give to the Energy Club, for being our strategic ally in a project. We've been working together for the last 13 years, so thank you for that as well. And to our special speaker today, our guest speaker, Dr. Angela Wilkinson, Secretary General of the World Energy Council, the body where we were part of that body through the Spanish Committee of the World Energy Council. Thank you, both of you, for being here. And I would also like to thank everyone that has made this possible, our moderators, our speakers, everyone who is here listening to us today. Thank you to everyone that has worked so hard to make this possible. Sometimes one thinks that a virtual meeting is an easy thing to do, isn't it? It seems easier than a normal meeting, but the truth is that it's full of tricky things and complications that are new to us. So I would really like to congratulate and thank the president of the Spanish Committee of the World Energy Council, Íñigo Díaz de Espada, and all of the different elements and companies that have made this possible today. Thank you. As Philippe has already mentioned, and Emilio as well, today probably what is the key element in any agenda is the effects and the impact of the pandemic. A pandemic that the only thing that we're sure of is that it will continue to be a problem for us. There's a lot of uncertainty. When will this end? What will be the full final effect and impact on the different sectors and industries of the economy? And as Emilio mentioned, the different elements that will play a key role in the recovery. There are some things that we know, for sure at least, and it's the fact that the transition towards a sustainable energy model will be key for that financial recovery. And if we think about this in a positive light, This transition has been at the core of all the recovery policies, and I think that is something that has a lot of value for our industry, and we have to leverage these policies. The European Union has the net zero GHG emissions for 2050. There has never been so much consensus in terms of the pathway that we have to follow. We have a guide map, a roadmap that we should follow, but that doesn't mean that there are no challenges in our way. There are huge challenges ahead, in fact, and as Philippe mentioned, and I would like to focus on that element again, we have to work, all of us together, all the stakeholders, all the industries in any economy, all the companies have to work together to develop new technologies, to develop innovation, and to be leaders of the process. We need the financial industry that will work as a channel for all of the investments that will require. And of course, we'll need the citizens that will have to change, to adapt their behaviors, the way they do their consumption of products and goods, and these trends will change, and all these efforts will also require the support of the public sector. Administrations, governments will have to implement all of these policies while fostering this growth, this investment, this development in the national industry. As has already been mentioned, these different recovery plans for both the financial recovery but also for the development of the industries will be fundamental at all levels for us. This is a unique moment for us. All of the different members of the European Union, including Spain, has a huge responsibility. We need to do an adequate management of the funds that we will be receiving. It's in our hands to be able to actually profit from these funds, creating new employment options and not leaving anyone behind. If we all work together, if we align our efforts, we can do this. The Spanish government knows the situation, has presented a plan to channel all of these funds, and understands that we, the energy industry, are one of the key lines for this plan. We have climate objectives and targets, but in order to comply with the Paris Accords, we need to work harder and faster. Not just us, different regions in the world need to do so as well. In the last few weeks, we've seen some statements that are going in the right direction. So we hope that we can give a good example to convince other countries, because it's something that we have to do all together if we want to offer a better future for the next generations. And by better future, I'm talking about a more just, sustainable and safer future for all of the new generations. Here at the Spanish Energy Club, we'll continue to work, to help, to add what we can do with events like the one today, understanding what is going on in our country, but what is going on in the rest of the world as well. So we're going to have a roundtable on the impact of the COVID-19 in our sector, but also the potential recovery scenarios. And this is something that will integrate everyone. And this is what we do. We integrate. We open our doors. It doesn't matter where you come from, what sector, what country, what political party you're from. Our idea is to integrate all the voices. So we have a guest speaker today, Dr. Angela Wilkinson, Secretary General and Executive Director of the World Energy Council since November of 2019.
It's a pleasure to have you here for the first time in this event of our Spanish committee. Your role in this very complicated time of the world is being key for the development and implementation of the new WEC strategy. With a strong focus on your great passion, I think it is one of your greatest interests at this point, that is the humanization of the energy. Our future will depend to a large extent on how society reacts to the challenges that we have ahead. So I find this approach is really important and challenging. So thank you for sharing it with us. No me extiendo más, nada más.
Without further ado, I just hope that you will learn a lot from the event today, and I'm sure you will. Thank you everyone again for making this possible, and I'm going to leave the floor to the next speaker.
Muchísimas gracias. Pasamos directamente.
Thank you very much. We are going to give the floor to Angela Wilkinson. Do you have her curriculum?
For the very warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I should start off by saying hola, buenos dias. That's where my Spanish takes me to. I would like to thank the organisers for what is a challenging event to put on, and also to thank Filippo for his comments around justice and responsibility, for Emilio for calling out the need for collaboration across frontiers, and for Maria for your words around cooperation across many sectors, public, private, as well as, of course, energy and other industries. And it's a pleasure to be here and to join this inaugural session on energy and climate futures, recovery and resilience post-COVID-19. Now, today I'm speaking to you from my home in Oxford. We're all learning to adapt to this global health crisis, including my 86-year-old father who lives in Andalusia. Today, I would like to offer my reflections on the bigger picture of the current crisis and what this implies for the challenges ahead, and as Maria said, for my passion and commitment to this new vision to humanise energy. Let me start by reminding everyone of the origins of the World Energy Council and, of course, our Spanish member committee. In 1924, we started up as the World Power Conference when the world was recovering from the first global influenza pandemic and about to face the Great Depression. Ça change plus ça change, as they say in France. Now, the COVID-19 has dramatically changed our world. We often forget that energy is essentially a story of humanity. It's more than a sector. It's the ultimate connector of hopes and fears, of people and geography across the world. This crisis reminds us of the importance of energy in our lives, and it's shown us that individual actions can have global impacts. Lockdown has triggered a widespread pattern of working from home and greater use of digital technology. Crisis has also given us an experience of a different energy future, clearer skies and quieter, uncongested city streets. And even as the world came to a stop, the lights have stayed on. Now, we've seen huge drops in demand for fossil fuels, especially for transport, and a shift in demand for power from industry and offices to households. And whilst we should expect some permanent destruction of demand in some places, we must also prepare for the return of global energy demand growth. In fact, there could be a tsunami of pent-up demand. This crisis is a brutal shock on an already stressed world energy system. Economic recession, climate change momentum, and the unevenness of societies were already creating huge tensions within the worldwide energy system. Resilience has been tested. Recovery will not be easy, and any hope of transformation will involve massive financial capital reallocation. There is a new context of affordability and social justice. Billions of lives and hundreds of trillions of dollars are at stake. And an even bigger picture is the essential place to start if we really want to emerge from this crisis as stronger, connected energy societies and successfully managing global energy transition. No crisis happens in a vacuum. The energy industry, our industry, is grappling with a new era of transition, energy for people and planet and prosperity. During the 24th World Energy Congress in Abu Dhabi just last October, we noted that value generation is moving closer to the end user, and we highlighted a shift in leadership mindset from the supply-side thinking to a customer-centric energy system. we've added a fourth D to the 3 global drivers of change that we have been tracking for over a decade. The 4 Ds are decarbonisation, potentially enabling a climate-neutral energy system by 2050. We see those ambitions by China, by Europe, and by increasing numbers of countries and companies. Decentralisation, accelerating the pace of distributed and renewable energy production. Digitalisation, enabling a step change in energy efficiency and improvement in energy assets and processes. The fourth D, disruption as usual, reflects a new pattern of innovation and collaboration shaped by demand-driven solutions. It reflects that the ways in which energy is being used, traded and transported are changing faster than ever before, with implications for supply and production. In the midst of this ongoing global health emergency, we must remain pragmatic in delivering energy for people and planet and prosperity. Transition is a balancing act, and there is no one size fits all. Different regions in the world will vary in their focus on these Ps, depending on their socioeconomic circumstances. The how to secure clean, affordable, reliable and equitable energy transition for Africa and Asia might not be right and the same as for Europe and vice versa. The challenges of navigating this new era of energy transition remind us that energy does not lend itself to single issue thinking. Today's single issue energy fashion, and there have been many, is the so-called race to zero. Societies need us to help them join the dots. This is why we created the World Energy Trilemma Index over a decade ago. This practical and objective tool is designed to help energy leaders across the world to balance the need for energy security, affordability and equity, and environmental sustainability as they strive to build and change their underlying energy systems. Now, Spain ranks 15th on the most recent global index and is maintaining steady improvement. It's a healthy place to start when we think about recovery. Now, as we have done for nearly 100 years, our members in over 100 countries have been sharing their experiences, actions and outlooks through this crisis. Our regular worldwide surveys reveal different and shifting priorities for action. Crisis has added a new emphasis on resilience, which extends to include people and supply chains, and even bigger hopes about the role for a clean hydrogen vector. There are many different perspectives on how long it will take to recover from peak crisis and what the next normal will look like. Societies are not aiming to bounce back to before crisis, but want to invest in building back better. To help leaders with the essential job of recovery, our global community has rapidly developed an impartial set of 4 COVID crisis scenarios to 2024. They're called Pause, Rewind, Fast Forward and Re-Record. You can find them on our website. Each scenario explores 3 critical uncertainties about trust, about ambition, and our ability to control the virus, and how these uncertainties might combine and impact recovery. We've used these scenarios to build the first World Energy Transition Radar. Martin Young, the Council's Senior Director of Insights, will share more in the next panel about how we are helping energy leaders to use these crisis scenarios and radar tools to improve their recovery plans. Now, innovation and cooperation, as previous speakers have already said, remain the keys to successful recovery and transformation, and both are changing. Innovation is not the same as progress. The difference is what we call the Humanized Energy Challenge. Our pragmatic community is now focused on how to humanize energy. The Council is reaching out to effectively engage many and more diverse people and communities in new energy ecosystems. We are promoting a new approach to collaborative innovation to help connected energy societies to move further and faster together and from different starting points. There is the need for many and more diverse solutions to net zero carbon and the need for more diverse investment opportunities. Let me be clear. We are working to inspire a next era of improvements in quality for life for all. We have to help societies better understand that new and inspiring models of human and economic development, digital, circular, clean and just, will require more energy, at least in the medium term. Now, I believe it takes a whole community to build and change an entire energy system. I believe that we, the world energy community, can engage regional, technological, and societal diversity as strengths. Only by working pragmatically and inclusively as the world energy community to humanize energy can we keep the future of connected energy societies open to better solutions and inspire new possibilities for humanity. Now, while this event focuses discussions on what's happening across Europe and in Spain, I hope the Council's ability to provide the bigger picture and exchange deeper insights can avoid what happens in Europe staying in Europe. Companies, countries and communities can and should learn with and from each other. There aren't many organisations that have not only survived but thrived for over 100 years like the World Energy Council. We formed before the United Nations, and whilst I speak from Oxford in England, our strength as the world energy community has been to work across all frontiers and to build practical capabilities, something that some governments continue to struggle with. I shall be looking closely at the outputs from this important virtual gathering, and I congratulate my colleagues at the Spanish Member Committee, and I thank Cepsa and the Spanish Energy Club for hosting this event. It's an important conversation at the right time, and it's congratulations for trying to do it virtually. I look forward to liaising with my colleagues in CMCE on how to take forward your exchange of better solutions. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address you all.